Okay, Blade Runner 2049. We just saw it. What'd you think?
Haha.
Yeah, we literally got back home about 5 minutes ago. I'm excited to talk about this film. We will do spoiler free, but we'll keep it in the same video. We'll give you a warning before we mention anything spoilerific. So we'll just talk spoiler free to begin with.
They all die in the end.
Yeah, everyone dies in the end. It's like Rogue One. Spoilers. Shit. Right, so Blade Runner 2049. I was looking forward to this film. When they first announced it a year or two ago, I was like, another Blade Runner? Do you need to really touch that film? It's so great as it is. You know, I'm not that interested in seeing the next part of the story, if there even is one. But the trailers came out. The trailers looked really fucking good. And you had someone like Denis Villeneuve, the director who made such great films as Sicario, Arrival, Prisoners, just one of the best directors working today. So I was really excited once he got on board, and then Ryan Gosling, who I'm a big fan of, Harrison Ford coming back. There's a lot of great talent behind this film. The cinematographer, I forget his name, but he's like a real noted, great cinematographer, and it shows, to say the least.
It was solid.
So it seemed like all the pieces were really coming together for this, and I was really excited. And then the reviews started coming out, and people were calling it a masterpiece and stuff, and I'm like, ugh, calm down a bit. I don't want to get too,
I know.
You know. But
I wanted to give it 7 out of 6 and stuff.
But I was glad that at least it was getting good reviews. It meant at least it was going to be good, right? So I was very excited, but I was trying to keep my expectations a little bit low at the same time. So
Same.
So the story, we follow Ryan Gosling's character, Agent K, as he's on a mission. I don't even want to talk about it because that would spoil part of the story, I guess. But the whole movie is based around this mission he's been given, and it's, you know, it follows that mold of the film noir movies that Blade Runner was kind of taking bits and pieces from, of that kind of, you know, detective story, you know, finding out clues and pieces of the puzzle and everything like that. And it's very much tied to something from the original film. Obviously Harrison Ford is in it, so that's not really spoiling anything. Just leave it there, really, as far as the plot goes. What did you think of the film? Just general reactions, obviously spoiler-free reactions.
Cinematography, great. Story, really good.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Acting, surprisingly good.
Yes.
Especially, except for a certain character.
Which we'll get to, yeah.
Yeah, visually great. Like, nothing really stood out to me to be, like, bad CGI-wise. Like, nothing really stood out, like, ooh, you know? Like, most of the part, you'll see something in a movie and you'll be like, oh. Yeah. That's not, you know, and it will ruin it a little bit, but nothing did that to me. But I really got into the movie, so I didn't really look for faults either. Sound, absolutely amazing. It was probably the best experience I've had in the cinema, sound-wise, because usually, well, these kind of movies get really loud, and so sometimes it kind of hurts a little bit because the sound is too sharp. Let me just finish. The bass was so leveled in a way that made it comfortable, even though it was really loud sometimes. Like, it was comfortable to... It was just great, like, the sound. I've never experienced that with a movie before, and I don't know if it was because of the cinema, because I've seen movies in that exact same room before that have been just too loud. Like, I've been like, oh, you know? But this was loud, but it was smooth. It was great. And, Harrison Ford, great. Yeah, I'll just jump in quickly. I was going to say we went to see Jurassic Park like 5 or 6 years ago, and the sound, it was really just loud to the point of being uncomfortable. Yeah, Rogue One as well was just too I didn't get that, but springy. It's just I've never experienced it before, so it's really nice. I wasn't thinking about it like that when I watched it, but I remember a moment where like the bass died down from the score, and it just felt like the room had stopped moving or something. Like, it just felt like there was a shift in like the dynamics of the room. I was like, oh wait, did something just stop happening? So it must have been the sound, the bass that was... the bass was great. Yeah, it must have been some sort of vibrations going on, but the sound is great. And as you were saying, well, it is an Atmos. Dolby Atmos, yes. Yeah. Dolby Digital. Yeah, but it's one of those rooms, and so it's supposed to be great, but it's just this time it was excellent. What What else can I say without spoiling anything?
Okay, yeah, so I agree on the visuals and the sound. I thought the score was great.
Yeah.
What I loved about the score was that it didn't reuse any of the old cues from Blade Runner, except for one. And when that was used, it was in such a perfect moment that I just thought, yeah, that was great. But it feels like the Blade Runner music, but it's different in its own way, and it doesn't overpower anything.
You mean part of the music was used? That was an old one.
Yes.
I think I heard that part.
Yeah,
and they also use a sound that's in the first one.
Yeah, there's a really cool audio Easter egg that was used in both Blade Runner and Alien. So we'll
I like the second that came up, I just looked at Luke and he's like,
yeah.
like nod of approval, and I'm like,
it's just really cool, just really random, but I really like that.
Maybe not everyone will hear it, but
no,
if you know the sound and if you know Alien really well, you'll know what sound we mean.
Well, I knew because I've used it in one of the marathon videos, so it was I'm very familiar with that background noise.
I don't even know why I have it. I've probably seen the movie so many times.
Yeah.
It's just stuck with me.
So yeah, the score I thought was great, and just again, nothing overpowering. It just complemented everything, and like you were saying, a little bit. Well, not in the video, but when we were on the bus, you said that it was kind of almost like you didn't even notice it, like it was kind of.
It's the kind of music that blends so well with the sounds in the movie and the scenes that you don't really notice the music as music. It's just a score, like it's just a soundtrack.
It complements everything on screen.
Yes.
And as you're saying with the CGI, there was one moment I thought that I mean.
I know which one you're talking about, I think.
No, you don't. It's nitpicking to the absolute ridiculousness. But there's a scene with this beehive or wasp hive, and Ryan Gosling's walking past it, and there's like these kind of poles with loads of wasps on them, but they're out of focus. And I was thinking, oh, they must be digital. It's a good thing they're out of focus. Then it went into focus, and not as good. It just really small.
I didn't even think about that.
Doesn't make any difference whatsoever, but I could tell on that shot that they were a bit digital. That's the only thing I could really point out.
I think the small... there are some small flying probe thingies.
Yeah.
There was something about them that I was thinking, I don't know, but...
Very small. The visual effects are fantastic. The practical effects, I mean, there's a lot of great sets in the film, which I loved, you know. Obviously, a lot of it is CGI, but I think it really held up to the ridiculous high standard of the original film, which is so good because it's all real. Or, you know, matte paintings and stuff, but so many models were used in the original film, it just looks so real and tangible, and I think they achieved a really great level of matching up with that original film in terms of how it looked, the creation of the world. That to me is one of the biggest draws of the entire thing. It's just that world that they've created, this not post-apocalyptic, but this dystopian future. Just the idea of Los Angeles being just packed upon just like so many people. It reminds you of like stuff in like Hong Kong that you used to see, like the walled city of Kowloon, stuff like that, where so many people just packed into these buildings, just buildings after buildings, and we got to see this expansive view of LA in the film near the beginning, where one of the cars is flying over, and we just see the extent of Los Angeles as it is visualized in Blade Runner, which you don't quite get in the original film, which is understandable. But with CGI, you get this massive scope, and I love that. And you could look down and see just the tiny little slits in the building, and that's where all like the neon signs are and stuff, which looked so big in the original film. It's like it just opens up the world, I thought. I loved how we went to different locations like Las Vegas, and we had a different kind of visual dystopia in the Blade Runner world. So it was different locations, it wasn't confined to LA, and I think that really helped things, opening it up. I thought the story was very good. I liked how it kept me guessing, and I liked how it kept me feeling for a very long time that I knew exactly what was going on. That was nice. The acting is really good for most of the main actors. I thought that Ryan Gosling was great as always. I thought that Harrison Ford was very good, as he usually is. You can usually rely on Harrison Ford for a good performance.
I thought the villain of the story was great too.
The woman.
Yes.
Yes, there's the female villain, we'll call her that. I don't know her character name or the actress's name.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to say anything about the male one.
But she was great. I really liked her performance. And I don't even know. I'm assuming she's a replicant, but I liked the moments where like tears would. I liked the moment where tears would stream out of her face. It was like, just like the emotion was overpowering her, but she still. I don't know. I liked that touch to the character. It was really creepy in one moment, I thought, but I thought that she was a really good villain for the film without being too, you know, typical. I suppose I thought that she Played that part well. Then we have Jared Leto, who plays Wallace, who's the new kind of Tyrell. He's taken over, and I like how we have that backstory of what's happened since the original film. Jared Leto, he's a good actor. I like him. I thought he was really good in Dallas Buyers Club. Didn't like his performance as the Joker. I hate the stories that we keep hearing about him. You know, like just the stuff that he does to get into character or whatever. Like I don't really. That just ruins it a little bit for me because I just feel like it's posturing a bit too much. I don't know. There's something about it. And anyway, his performance in the film was okay. He has basically 2 key scenes in the film. The first one, I just didn't like his performance at all. It just, something about it just felt like going through the motions.
I didn't even understand what he was saying
at
the time.
I mean, I don't know if it was the writing or what, but it fell flat to me. But his other scene, his other major scene, I thought he was a lot better in, and I liked him. And I liked how his presence was kind of felt throughout the film, but his performance was quite minimal. Like he's not in it that much, and I was kind of glad of that. I don't think he really brings it down too much.
I think it was distracting.
A little bit in that first scene, yeah.
No, because when the second scene came up, I was like, oh,
I
thought I was done with him.
Got you.
So, no, I didn't like him.
Okay, yeah, I didn't love him. I didn't think he was bad, but it's very middle of the road.
I wish I hadn't seen that short story, the short thing.
Yeah, we watched
yesterday because that made me like, oh no, I don't like him.
Yeah,
so whenever he came up now, I was already pinpointed on not liking him.
Yeah, we watched 2. I've watched all 3 of the prequel short films they released, which are.
I watched all 3.
Oh yeah, you did see. Yeah, I did see the Batista one. Yes, of course. So we watched all 3 of those, and
Batista was good.
Yeah, Batista was really good.
Yes. Batista's getting really good at acting.
Yeah, I thought he was.
I hate admitting it because I used to really dislike him in WWE, but now I'm like, oh, Batista's in it. Cool, you know.
He's showing his range now, which is really fun to see. And I thought he played his part really well. But
I want to see him in a drama where he loses his daughter or something like that. Yeah, but I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger could do it. He could do it now. Like, all grey and stuff.
I knew that's what you were thinking, Maggie, right?
Yeah.
You were thinking of something like that, yeah.
He impressed.
Yeah.
Batista can do it. He's a good old man.
Yeah, I like the actress who played Joy. I thought,
she was great.
Yes, and I thought...
Who is she?
I don't know. Never seen her before.
She looks like...
Felicity Jones.
No.
Rogue One. No?
No.
That's who I think she looks a little bit like.
She looks like that Spanish woman in Pirates.
She does. She does look like Penelope Cruz. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She looks like...
She looks like a mix between Penelope Cruz
pretty... Not that Penelope. Not that Cruz isn't pretty, but she's like, something about her. She's really
and that was
enjoyable to look at.
And that was very fitting for the character that she played. And I really liked her character and what that meant to Ryan Gosling's character.
I love that character. I didn't think I would. When she first came into play, I was like, oh no.
When you realise who she is, like it's like, But I love the way that whole thing played out, and it all ties into that theme of that Blade Runner explored to begin with, which was the idea of artificial intelligence. And because you've been created artificially, does that mean that you're not human? Does that mean you don't have a soul? Does that mean that everything that you feel and you live and experience matters as much as humans? And that's the key theme that's been driven through. More human than human. Great line. And you know, you'd think, well, what more is there to explore with that kind of idea? But I think they did a good job of taking it in a different direction in this one, while still feeling true to the first one. And yeah, it's very slow paced, and I think a lot of people have a problem with that. But for me, if you really enjoy that world and the characters, the pace doesn't matter because you're enjoying what you're seeing. And that for me is exactly like the original film as well, which is also quite slow paced. But this one, you know, it's like nearly 3 hours long. It's a pretty long one. And the
only time I was thinking, oh, this is taking too long,
was
the Jared Leto scenes.
Yeah.
That was the only time when I was thinking, like, what time is it now? Because I wanted that scene to be finished, but the second he was gone, I was like, okay, then let's get back into it. No, I don't feel bad. It's just...
I don't feel like he really ruins the film or anything like that. I don't even feel like he brings it down that much. But
I feel like he's trying to be artsy with it. Like he's not trying to act. He's just trying to do something different, and it's not working.
What I would love Jared Leto to do moving forward is to act in films and just let it speak for itself, and not come out and say, "Hey, you know, I wore contacts that made me blind in this." So I was literally blind in Blade Runner when I was acting. Like people are writing articles about it, and it's like, well, that's not acting then, is it? I mean, well, obviously the performances, but it's just like when people go to those extremes and then they have to talk about it. Well, I don't know if he's the one who's kind of talking about it, whether he was asked and whatever, but I hate those little bits that kind of just distract me a little bit.
It's just the way he delivers the lines. It's almost like he wants to bring out like a hidden message, like, I paused for 1/4.5 seconds or something like that, and that means that something in the universe, I don't know, I just feel like he's trying to do something different and it's just not working.
Yeah, it was a very deliberate performance, you know, it was consistent to what he chose as how he was going to perform it, but I just didn't really like it that much, I suppose, so. Yeah, I didn't hate it, didn't think he was bad, I just, you know, it just didn't really click with me as much as everything else. And like I say, like,
Some people like weird art. That's just the way it is.
It's like a bit of weird art.
It is. It is like a bit of weird art.
So, I think that's all we can really say without going into spoilers. So,
is it?
Yeah, should we rate the film? We still doing that?
Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean for me it's you know it's full marks. You know it's definitely a film that I loved from start to finish and loved everything about it. I don't know where I'd put it as far as 2017 movies. It's definitely up there with Logan and War for the Planet of the Apes, but I got no idea where those three sit around each other. But yeah, it's a 10 for me or a 5 out of 5 as I'll put it on Letterboxd. It really impressed me, and I love how it doesn't spoon. Well, it kind of does in some ways, but I like how it doesn't answer everything. It's very much like the original Blade Runner. It's not a film that kind of says, okay, the film's ending now, here's answer A, B, and C. You don't get that in the film, which I really liked. You can still kind of look into it, you know, for yourself and derive whatever you wish, which I really like. It felt like a natural progression.
I kind of feel like I have to watch it again without having someone next to me go,
Yeah, I don't even want to get into the cinema experience because it was a bad one and it's been a bad run of cinema experiences.
This whole year has been bad.
Kingsman just, well, It in particular was horrific. This one was not as bad, but it was pretty, yeah.
We're really unlucky with who we are in this cinema.
Yeah, and there wasn't many people in there, was it? I thought, oh, this is good. There's only like a...
They're always next to us.
Yeah.
Right next to me.
Just like, decide how you're going to sit.
What's wrong about Kingsman?
I was getting kicked in the back of my chair the whole movie. Yeah. Every quiet moment of Blade Runner 2049, just pick one spot for the chair to be in because it's squeaking so loudly and people like rustling their sweet packets. 2 hours into the film, like, are you still that hungry to gorge yourself on shit and crap that you can't wait when there's a quiet moment in the film to wait for a bit of noise to cover it? No, I'll just keep going. Oh, it's out. Just fucking people. It's such an easy choice. You just don't fucking eat and rustle the wrapper when it's a quiet moment in the film. It's so simple. It's quiet, so fucking shut up yourself. I don't understand how people can just...
See, those kind of sounds don't bother me that much. When it's silent, sure. It's just the constant sounds coming from your body I don't like.
Yeah, there's a guy next to Connie who's kind of...
He wasn't even like
half
trying to clear his throat. When you clear your throat, you go, you know, so that you can rumble your throat. But he just went, And I have an itchy throat, and when I do that, I feel like doing it again.
And this was
he
from...
did it again.
And this was from the trailers till the end of the film, so literally 3 hours of... Just fucking go into the bathroom and cough it up and come back.
Really loud, silent. Seriously, when it was really loud, I didn't hear him once.
Of course, yeah.
And it was so loud, like it was almost...
So I can't wait to watch this film again and really just have a quiet experience, because there was some scenes where it's really quiet and it's just two characters having a very intense conversation.
And you want to hold your breath for it.
Yeah, right. And
that's how silent you want to be. And then people just go and say, fuck you.
Yeah. So that's our spoiler-free thoughts on Blade Runner.
Well, I didn't rate it.
Well, go on then.
On Letterboxd, I give it a 5.
Okay.
But that's because I can't give it a 9.8.
Got ya. Yeah, that's yeah.
Or 9.9. I'm not sure. It could be a 10.
Yeah.
But I think I might give it a 9.1. I'm kidding. Somewhere around 9.7, 9.8 maybe.
Yeah, I get the need. I get the need to make the distinction of not, you know, saying it's a perfect 10 or whatever, but yeah.
Well, no movie's perfect.
No, exactly, but you know, it's as enjoyable as it feels like it can be for that thing, and I wasn't disappointed by any aspect of it except for Jared Leto. So I guess that does take something away,
that's
but
what takes it down.
But for me, everything else is so good it doesn't really matter that much, and I don't feel like the character. I don't feel like the character is bad. Like the character as the part that he plays in the film, I don't think is bad. I like the idea of it. This guy who's kind of monopolized the replicant business and has taken it in a different way.
But I didn't like the writing in the first scene either with him. The words he spoke,
right.
I don't remember what he said.
No.
After he said it, I was like, what was that?
But I know what it relates to.
I didn't catch any of it. It felt like it was talking cryptic code.
And thinking about that first scene now, I now see how it plays into the story of the entire film, which is interesting. So yeah, definitely one to watch again.
I don't remember what he said.
Okay, well, it was more about what he did. But anyway, which we'll get into. So we'll leave it there. If you haven't seen the film, stop watching now, and now we'll get into some spoiler talk. Alright, so...
There's a dog in it.
There's a dog in it, right? So, seeing as we're in spoiler territory now, what I was just mentioning about the Jared Leto scene, the first one was when that replicant is born, and he cuts her stomach.
Yeah.
And he's talking about reproduction and stuff, you know, and so the idea of getting a replicant that can carry a child and then replicants that can reproduce, which is basically...
So that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, and so that was basically that's the main part of the story, and I really liked that, the idea of Rachel having been this replicant mother. And I love how we don't get the answer out whether Deckard is a replicant or not. They so easily could have tied that up in a neat bow for everyone who was wondering, and they didn't.
He's so weak, you know?
Huh?
Throughout the original Blade Runner movie, all the other replicants are really strong, but he is weak.
Yeah, but he's... Well, it depends what your theory is, and we won't get into the whole is Deckard a replicant theory, because we're going to do a Blade Runner review, and so we'll get into that there, but...
Yeah, but he's weak in this one, too.
I know. Well, I like how there isn't the... Again, the conclusion on that, it's still open-ended, and that scene between him and Jared Leto, where he's like, I know what's real. Like, that's all he says, and so I just love that, because it could so easily be that he's a replicant, it could so easily be that he's still human, and I don't think it really takes away from it to keep that ambiguity of that kind of classic kind of question from that original film. So Agent K is a replicant, which, you know, was a bit of a surprise to me. Well, I wasn't surprised, I guess I kind of thought that would be where they would go with it, but right from the beginning of the movie you get that kind of reveal that he is not human, and he's a Blade Runner, and he kind of is looked down upon by other people because he's a skin job. I like that kind of, it's almost like in Harry Potter, you dirty mudblood, you know, it's that kind of weird kind of insult that's specific to this sci-fi creation that's brought over from the first film. And his, what would you even call her, Joy? His companion, well, yes, I guess it's his companion. I loved that. His girlfriend, but then you kind of think, well, is she really his girlfriend because he's bought her because she's this artificial creation? But then so is he.
They love each other. But
so is he, and is he capable of loving? Is she really capable of loving? And that's just a really interesting question. And I like how she named him Joe when at one point he thought that he was the son of Deckard, and that he actually had been born and had a soul, as he puts it. And then he meets that big hologram later on after she's, you know, died, and she says Joe, you know, and so it's that.
Yeah, what was the sentence again?
What sentence?
She said Joe at the end of the sentence.
I can't remember, but
yeah.
It hints that that's one of the things that, you know, this pre-bought kind of companion would maybe come up with. And so it makes you question it, and it obviously makes him question it, and that's what the film is. It's him questioning everything. And I love how pretty much within the first 30 to 40 minutes you get the idea that this Agent K is probably the son of Deckard and Rachel. And then they spend like about an hour and a half kind of making you continue to believe that until we get kind of the twist ending. But the twist ending, I liked how it kind of, it wasn't like this, hey, guess what? That girl from earlier is his daughter. It was more of a gradual twist. Like you started to, okay, so it's a daughter, so it's not him. So who is it then? And it's not this big reveal. You kind of slowly realize, she was the daughter, you know.
And that's why she cried.
And that's why she cried. And that was something when I watched that scene when he goes to the girl who makes the memories and he says, "Can you check my memory?" And so she says, "Right, okay, think about it." And she views the memory and she starts crying. And I was thinking, there's a lot of crying going on in this film. Why is she getting emotional over seeing someone's memory? It's not like a really tragic memory. Yeah, it's a bit of a sad one with the wooden horse and everything, but it's not that bad. Why is she crying? Why did it affect her so much? And then by the end, it's like, that's why. And so that was really cool. I loved that aspect. which will be another thing that'll be interesting to watch for a second time now that we know everything. I liked how we didn't really, like the very last shot, you know, is left on that note where you don't really need to see much more of that meeting between father and daughter. It's just kind of more implied, you know. And I was even thinking you don't even need to show them, you know, meeting, but I guess it was nice to have that little small scene when he gets to see the face of his daughter, and that's the moment we end on. We
Does he know she's Swedish?
Very multicultural movie.
A lot of Swedish people in this movie.
Yeah.
What is going on with that? I don't get it.
I like the multicultural thing. Like in the first Blade Runner, the influence of China obviously had encroached on, and Japan had encroached onto the city of Los Angeles. And in this one, German was a language that was spoke quite a bit. So I liked how the languages are kind of mixing in and stuff.
Swedish, and I thought I saw, was it Polish or was it Russian writing?
Russian it looked like, yeah, or maybe, you know, Eastern European. So yeah, and I loved the ending with Ryan Gosling's character when it's kind of almost a remake of the Tears in Rain scene, because you have that same music playing as he's lying there in the snow, and it's this replicant dying after having this, you know, formative experience and, you know, questioning life and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of a cruel twist, really, when he gradually realizes that he probably was actually born, and then towards the end he realizes that's not the case, and that he did have those memories implanted. So it's much like the original film. Again, it has that element of tragedy to it.
Well, yeah, because for a while he thought he actually did have a soul, and then he realizes that he wasn't.
As far as he's concerned, because he says that, well, I feel like if someone's been born, then they have a soul. But, you know, is that really the case? So
oh, his boss, I thought she was great too.
Robin Wright, yeah, she's always dependable to be a good actress. I really liked her character. I liked the scene. It's very weird, but I liked the scene when Joy basically hires a prostitute to sleep with him while she kind of goes in the same position. Very weird, but I liked the intention. It was kind of sweet, but you know, but weird.
No, when I realized what was gonna happen,
yeah,
I was like, oh, he just, you know. He's now like being hunted, and he's got 48 hours.
Right.
Now they put this scene in?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, why don't you just have a shower scene while you're at it, you know? And someone being killed in the shower. But then they started, they were sinking and stuff. And then I got kind of captivated with it. And because before that I was just, oh, this is going to get awkward, and it's going to be like an entire sex scene.
I really liked, I liked how it wasn't a proper sex scene.
No.
I was very relieved.
What they showed was just enough,
but
and I was so captivated by the whole movement thing that I felt like a cat watching like a dot on the wall. Like, I couldn't look away.
The special effects were really good, but I liked how she's like, okay, I need to sink. So I thought, okay, they're going to have like a weird face morph, and then it'll just look like a normal person. But they have like the hands are moving out of thing, you know, like it's almost like the whole
like a dance.
Yeah, and like the Joy's a bit too eager, so a hand comes out of the human one and stuff. And so I liked how it was, really cool. And
that's the most silent the whole cinema was in the entire movie.
Yes.
Even the guy next to me didn't once.
Yeah, that scene, and also when we first see Deckard's dog. Because that scene where Kay is walking around the empty casino, and people are rustling their crisp packets and all that kind of stuff. And then there's the dog just in the hallway, just like stood there. And
I did this then.
Yeah, like
because I was thinking that dog's gonna fucking attack, and I'm gonna be terrified.
Yeah, the sound really dropped then, which is cool.
Yes, and then because first you don't see it moving, but then you see it breathing, and I'm like, oh my god, because it's really like. Spraggly. What do you call it? Shaggy
kind of appearance.
Yeah, it's really ruffled in the
rough looking dog. Yeah.
And so it looks like if it bites you, you got rabies, man. You know. Yeah, I like that dog. Kind of.
Yeah, the dog was a cool character.
I got worried about it instantly.
Sure.
So when I see an animal, I'm like.
There's some funny lines. There's some funny lines in the film, like when he's like, "Is he real?" So. Why do you ask him, you know?
Yeah. Then for a second I thought, he's going to turn around and ask the dog? But he didn't. And he poured whiskey on the floor, and that made the cinema chuckle. Yeah,
people got a good laugh out of that one. I really liked the Rachel scene. Wasn't expecting it, you know. We got to see Sean Young kind of brought back from, 35 years ago into this.
That was an actress, though, that just looked like her, right?
No, they did the digital... kind of augmenting. They had it said in the credits there was a body double, and obviously they'd done that kind of, again, digital creation
like
of her
Leia,
face.
then.
Yeah, like Leia in Rogue One, or Peter Cushing in Rogue One as well. But I liked,
She didn't look that much like her.
I thought she did, but when the lips started moving, as is always the case when they do something like this,
The
it kind of,
moving.
yeah. But first she walks up and she's in the shadows a bit, and I thought that looks fucking great. And then she comes up to Deckard, and then she looks at him.
Into the light.
Yeah, into the light. I still thought it looked really good. And then we look at his face as she speaks, and I thought this is really clever. They're not showing her lips move, which is gonna not take away from the, make us look at the CGI, but 2, we can look at Deckard's face as he's reacting to this. And then it cuts back to her and she says something, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a little bit, But I thought it was pretty well done, And I liked the idea of it, that they would create this, a second Rachel for him to kind of...
like what he did after that.
What?
Her eyes were green.
His
and then he walks away and they shoot her in the face.
Yeah. I think we've exhausted all the things to really talk about.
Yeah, it's just, I remember that Jared Leto was in that scene.
Just thinking about him is annoying you.
I feel like he's doing the same thing that guy from Transformers is doing. Like, he's gonna lock himself in a room and just look sad for like 5 hours.
Oh, Shia
straight.
LaBeouf. Yeah, right.
Something weird going on with it. Like, he and Shia LaBeouf and Jim Carrey's gonna form like a club or something. Like, dude, we're being reborn. Let's do some weird shit and make people go, what does it mean? Seriously, it's just too weird.
Lump Jaden Smith in there as well. He can be the young disciple, and they're like, guys, we're not here. We don't exist. We don't act.
Nothing matters.
Nothing matters. Nothing matters. Who is Jim Carrey? I don't know.
I wanted to go to the
not me.
most pointless thing I've ever, it's just, something weird is going on with some actors, and I don't like it.
I think that you dislike Jared Leto quite a bit more than I did, actually.
I actually didn't dislike him that much as a Joker. The first time I watched the movie.
Yeah.
The second time.
Right. Anyway, that's another film.
Yeah, okay. Anyways. What else? Yeah, I just love Harrison Ford. Now that he's old, even more. There's something about old actors, I just pity them in movies when something bad happens to them. And when he almost drowned, I was the most scared I was throughout the whole movie. I was like, don't fucking let him die.
There's a little continuity mistake there when the water's going up and down, and his hair was like sopping wet, like down on his face. And in the next shot, it was like the crew cut again. So,
no!
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's a bit of a shame.
That is horrible!
A little bit. And also, again, I keep saying it, and they don't listen, because obviously they watch these videos. The trailers. Come on, like I had no sense of tension in that scene when he's about to drown, because I'd already seen a shot of him in the trailer in the snow outside that building at the very end. It's like, guys.
I don't remember that part. So
I do, and I was just like, well, there's still that scene with the snowy building, so now I know that he's.
There are scenes that they cut out of movies.
That's true.
As well.
That's very true. But I just had a gut feeling that
There's
that scene was to
one
come.
shot in Prometheus where she goes. Or something.
There's loads
she
of
never
shots.
Does that.
Yeah, well, it's the same in most of these films. I get that, but to me, it was one of those things where I was like, well, I've already... Look, if you've got a scene that's like towards the last 15 minutes of the film, don't put it in the trailer.
Yep.
It's like the shower scene in Alien Covenant in the last 5 minutes of the movie. Right, so...
So the alien's aboard.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm just going to keep ranting about it.
Well, it's going to be there anyways.
Yeah.
But I thought he was going to die, because I didn't know about that scene. And so I got really worried, and I was thinking, they're really going to kill him again. He comes back to a movie and they kill him off.
Yeah.
And I got so worried because Ryan Gosling was trying to kill this woman. And actually for about 2 seconds I was distracted because I was thinking, oh, the feminists are going to tear this apart because he's got like a chokehold in the woman and stuff like that. I could be like, oh no, a man's fighting a woman. He's trying to save his own life, but it's just going to be tearing it apart. I just started a discussion. Well, I'm sorry, but I can say it because I'm a woman.
She's not a woman, she's a replicant.
True. Yeah, okay. So, he's holding her under the water, and you can tell, before she's dead, he looks over to where Harrison Ford is, and he's distracted because he wants to save him, obviously, before he dies. And he looks down at her, and she looks like she's all, dead and floaty and stuff. And I'm just thinking, if I was her, I would fucking fake it.
Yeah.
So I didn't believe she was dead. So when they were like wading out of the water, I was like, she's gonna come back. But when she didn't, I was really surprised.
It's like Die Hard. You think the guy's dead, and at the end of the movie, he comes back.
Always double tap.
Always double tap.
As in, kill twice.
Yeah. I loved all
Zombieland.
I loved all the locations like Las Vegas and stuff. Like again, I've already talked about that.
That.
I guess I have, yeah. But that's something I really liked about the film was the variety. Like the beginning of the movie's in a completely different location, and then we go to LA and we get that familiar, setting, and then we go elsewhere and we come back. So I just loved all the mixing of the visual styles, and yeah, I don't think anyone
The fighting scenes were good too.
Yeah, great fight scenes. I don't think anyone could argue that this film looks great and sounds great. But I think the story and the pacing perhaps might get some people a little bit disinterested, but I loved it. And thought it was very much in line with the first film. So I think we've exhausted all options of what we can talk about.
No, I like the audio clips from the first movie as well.
Yeah, that was nice. And I love how Deckard's spinner, the flying car from the first movie, is in the film for about 2 seconds and then they blow it up. I was like, ooh, Deckard's car! So, okay.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, when they first come into Las Vegas, the cops, and he's like, they're coming after you, and he runs towards his car to escape, and they just blow it up.
Oh, I didn't see the car, I saw a window.
It was right next to the window, so. I really love the scene at the bar in his room between Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford when he's asking him about about Rachel and so on, and Deckard is really slow to respond, like he really takes his time. But the way Harrison Ford plays it, like you're just really just waiting for it, It's not like a boring scene that's dragged out, like it just was really captivating. And the same with the scene with Jared Leto and Harrison Ford too, I thought that was really good. And Harrison Ford was great in that scene, when all that emotion of the past was brought up, and it was really fucked up to think that he was holding Rachel's skull right in front of him, like that was pretty fucked up. And yeah, so on that note, I think we'll leave it there.
I'm just trying to think of stuff that I didn't like.
Well, if you think that hard, then...
Exactly. Like, everything that I think of that I remember is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so it's an obvious thumbs up from both of us.
Except for the obvious two scenes, that's
right,
it.
exactly.
I didn't love the Rachel scene.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like, that's a good one, but she just didn't look like her enough.
I thought she
And I was so distracted because it couldn't be her,
Right.
But then it wasn't supposed to be either. But yeah, no, yeah. It was good. It was really good.
I mean, you can almost argue it works towards the artificiality of it, I suppose.
True.
In some ways, but I mean that's just kind of making an excuse, really. It was.
Yeah, because you're all replicants and they look real. So
yeah. But,
why wouldn't she? They should have. Is the actress dead who played her?
No, but she's allegedly batshit crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, but
we'll
wasn't Leia a little bit?
Yeah, but I don't know what they credited her, but I don't know if she had any involvement in the film.
Well, they could have, made a replicant that would be the age she is now.
I don't think that would have had the same effect because
you wouldn't recognize her.
And it needs to be that vision that he had of her. I mean, they show the clip from the first film of her walking towards him when Deckard first sees her, so it's all about that mental image of when he first met her and kind of fell for her and stuff.
Yeah, they did say that him falling for her was their programming.
No, they said it could be.
Well, they tried to make him believe it.
Yeah, well, Wallace dropped that little thing in there of maybe her whole purpose was for you to fall for her and to go off with her, and maybe, and I like that because again, it doesn't tell you concretely that that's what the case was, but it could be, and so it's just more kind of avenues to think about with the story. Of
the origami guy.
That was cool. I can't believe I almost forgot about that.
Didn't he origami a horse? It looked like a bear.
Yeah, it looked like some kind of a wider animal, a bit bulkier
it didn't look
animal.
like a horse.
No, it definitely was a horse.
But if he had done a horse, that would have been like, okay, so his memories are implanted. So maybe it was a different animal because of it.
I don't know. It was just in case you didn't recognize him, I suppose you would know who he was by the origami.
Yeah, because I wanted to go, that's the guy, right?
Because he looks quite different. He's gained a lot of weight and is very old now, obviously. But cool that he got a scene in the film. I wasn't really expecting that. Gaff, I think his name was in the original film. So yeah.
Wasn't he in a short story?
Yeah, his the anime prequel. He did the voice for that. But I didn't know he was going to be in the main film. Alright, so Blade Runner 2049 was one of my most anticipated films of the year. Did not disappoint.
Looking forward to 2079.
Yeah, right. I kind of hope that they leave it, to be honest. I hope they don't kind of start a franchise if it makes a load of money. I think that just, it's nice where it is, you know? I mean, I love the world, and so I wouldn't say no, but I just like those two films, you know? Don't make it a trilogy, or make another trilogy. Like, I'm sick of these trilogies. Like, James Cameron is producing a new Terminator film, and he's like, yeah, and we're going to do 3 films. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, just enough with the trilogies, you know? Just make a good film and leave it at that, you know?
Is it Golden 3?
Good Golden 3.
I don't know.
But yeah, suffice to say, I think Denis Villeneuve pulled it off as a director, as he probably was going to, because he's just great. He's just so awesome. So, is that all we got to say now?
I think so.
I think so, yes. Thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts down below on Blade Runner 2049, and stay tuned. We'll have a Blade Runner review in the next few days, probably next week sometime. And apart from that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
He's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause